Teoscar Hernández announcing his departure from the Dodgers lands as a jolt because it contradicts everything Los Angeles has signaled about its championship window. This is not a routine roster shuffle before a rebuild, it's a removal of a dependable middle-order bat during a period when the franchise publicly and privately committed to winning now. Hernandez wasn't a headline superstar, but he was the kind of high-leverage, dependable contributor that championship teams build around, power that mattered in tight innings, reliable defense that reduced pressure on the pitching staff, and a clubhouse presence that kept a long season emotionally resilient. His exit forces an urgent question: did the Dodgers miscalculate the margin of error they can afford, or did they simply choose a longer-term path that the rest of the league will exploit this season? Numbers explain why the headline stung. Hernandez posted nearly 30 home runs last season, delivered an OPS north of .750, and ranked among Los Angeles' leaders in hard hit rate and barrels per plate appearance, metrics that translate directly into run creation and win probability added. StatCast showed consistent exit velocities and a barrel profile that made Hernandez one of the few power threats who could change a game in a single swing. From a practical standpoint, that meant opponents had to account for him when navigating lineups that also include Betts, Freeman, and Ohtani. Losing him removes a layer of deterrence and opens cleaner attack paths for opposing pitchers. Financially, the story deepens. Hernandez' market range, roughly $12 to $15 MAAV depending on term, gets magnified by competitive balance tax multipliers when added to a payroll already near the highest tax tier. The Dodgers faced a stark choice: absorb immediate tax pain for guaranteed mid-order production or protect long-term flexibility and accept short-term roster risk. They chose flexibility, and now the consequences ripple through lineup construction, matchup strategy, and payroll calculus. The timing makes this consequential rather than curiosity. The Dodgers' recent postseason narrative centers on offensive stagnation rather than pitching breakdowns. They've seen October series where repeated half-inning failures produced outs instead of rallies. Hernandez was one of the few hitters built to reverse that trend, someone who could handle elite four-seamers, take advantage of elevated fastballs, and turn breaking pitches into run-producing opportunities. His removal increases dependence on LA's superstar core to produce every game and every inning, a fragile posture when top-tier pitchers converge in the postseason and sequencing matters more than raw aggregate stats. On a roster level, the immediate impact is obvious. The Dodgers' outfield depth becomes more question mark than certainty. James Outman offers range and athleticism but remains streaky with the bat. Jason Hayward supplies defense and clubhouse leadership but limited run production. Miguel Vargas and Andy Pages represent upside but not proven week-in, week-out performance over a marathon season. This is the difference between a team that can survive injuries and slumps through complementary production and a team that must navigate a marathon with fewer safety nets. Compounding this is the weak free agent market for middle-order sluggers this winter. Options are limited, and acquiring comparable power usually requires either overpaying in dollars or prospects. In short, the Dodgers have decreased their margin for error at the worst possible time. Viewed historically, the move reads as a unique departure. The Dodgers have absorbed losses before. Seager's leadership gap was mitigated by Turner, Peterson's exit met depth, and Freeman's presence softened other transitions. But Hernandez's profile is less replaceable. He's the archetype of the mid-tier slugger who consistently influences late-game win probability. Think Nelson Cruz, Jorge Soler, or the late-career thumpers who change October series. Teams that have lost similar complementary power without immediate replacement suffered multi-year drag on their offensive ceilings. The Yankees after Swisher, the Cardinals after Ozuna, and others who discovered the next man up does not always replicate the nuanced game-changing nature of these hitters. Beyond internal comparisons, the Dodgers' choice contrasts with how other contenders approach mid-tier production. Some franchises double down, accepting temporary tax costs for immediate roster completeness. Others accept churn, betting on youth and market timing. The Dodgers' decision to prioritize flexibility resembles the latter, but their roster context, an aging star core, compressed windows for Ohtani and Freeman, makes that bet riskier. It's the difference between a calculated pivot and one that might leave a contender top-heavy and susceptible to targeted pitching strategies in October. To fully understand why the Dodgers let Hernandez go, you must consider the confluence of organizational philosophy, economic pressure, and prospect pipeline dynamics. MLB's competitive balance tax structure increasingly penalizes mid-tier additions, making each incremental commitment a strategic decision with multi-year consequences. The Dodgers, though wealthy, have shifted toward a model that balances star-level spending with controllable, team-friendly assets to avoid perpetual punitive tiers. Hernandez, entering his 30s with a swing that yields high exit velocity but also substantial strikeout rates, presents a forecast that some models treat as volatile over a multi-year horizon. Simultaneously, Los Angeles has invested heavily in its farm system and hopes that controllable young players will emerge. Andy Pages and Miguel Vargas both offer intriguing profiles, Pages with raw power and athleticism, Vargas with contact skills and versatility. Their presence gives the front office a path to replace production at a lower cost, if they perform. The front office could also be positioning payroll for a future, seismic acquisition. Creating space now is the raw currency for a potential splurge next offseason. Those long-term moves often require present sacrifices, and letting a mid-tier slugger depart can be viewed in that lens. There are also non-statistical considerations. Hernandez provided clubhouse energy, bilingual bridge building, and veteran resilience, qualities that sustain performance across road trips, grueling July stretches, and playoff pressure. These human elements don't fit neatly into WAR or OPS, but they factor into outcomes, especially in high-leverage moments. Losing that presence is a cultural hit that the analytics team attempts to quantify but often cannot fully model. Looking forward, Hernandez leaving compels the Dodgers into several possible directions, each with different risks and rewards. Option A, pursue another high-impact bat, perhaps a star-level acquisition that reshapes the lineup. Clearing Hernandez's salary could be strategic runway toward a megastar signing, which would reframe the decision as tactical sacrifice for transformation. Option B, accelerate internal development, trusting Pages, Vargas, and other controllable assets to ascend. That approach preserves payroll but increases volatility in a season where margin for error is slim. Option C, pursue trade market fixes that sacrifice prospects or pitching depth for immediate, if not perfect, replacements. Tactically, removing Hernandez affects Dave Roberts' matchup options. Hernandez's platoon and matchup-proof profile allowed flexibility. Without him, the manager must juggle more defensive subbing, more strategic lineup sequencing, and more late-game pinch-hitting decisions. Strategically, there's an increased pressure on the rotation. Every low-scoring game becomes heavier, and with Buehler navigating health questions and young arms still reputationally fragile, the pitching staff may be asked to perform with thinner offensive backing. The league-level ripple is also relevant. If Hernandez signs elsewhere and thrives, especially in a hitter-friendly park, the narrative intensifies that the Dodgers misstepped. If he signs with an NL West rival, the competitive landscape tilts. Conversely, if the Dodgers execute a savvy acquisition or exhibit internal breakout, the move could be vindicated. Public perception will be unforgiving in either scenario. The franchise's reputation for always having a plan will be tested in real time. Teoscar Hernández's exit is a moment where numbers and narrative intersect, and where organizational identity is on display. The Dodgers must now answer whether they are an organization that prioritizes calculated, long-term roster flexibility or one that recognizes the battlefield value of dependable, mid-order power in a championship window. If youth blooms or a transformative signing arrives, this decision looks forward-looking. If the offense stumbles, October exposes gaps, or Hernandez becomes a postseason differentiator elsewhere, the decision will be judged as a miscalculation. Baseball is a sport of margins. A single swing can erase a deficit or create momentum that ripples through a clubhouse. A single roster choice can compress months of speculation into a season-defining narrative. Hernandez was precisely the kind of player whose contributions manifest in those marginal, decisive moments. Keeping or losing such players defines how teams manage windows of contention. For the Dodgers, the true test begins now, not in press conferences, but in daily box scores, in the tension of pennant races, and in the October innings where history gets decided. The question that will echo through Los Angeles all season is clear: did the Dodgers sacrifice a vital stabilizer for future freedom, or did they just create a hole they can't refill in time?